I would like to thank you for giving me an opportunity to like get an interview from you and got get to know a lot of knowledge and insights about the field.
Let me start by telling a little about myself so everyone knows. So, I am Kajal. I am working currently as a quality technician at Amsterdam. Um, One of the major things why I got invited as a guest speaker at Centennial and guest speaker in Centennial, and then we gave a tour of Amsterdam Brewery where I work, is because we just implemented food safety certification, a GFSI certified certification, which is FSC 22000. We just just implemented that in Amsterdam Brewery, and let me tell you how I got the job. I got it through my co-op. To start with, I know a lot of students are a little bit afraid about it. Like how, like when you are at that stage where you have to choose whether to do co-op or not, I know a lot of students think that it might be difficult after coming back and studying, but it's not like that. I totally recommend everyone to go experience the industry, and then you learn better because you already know what are the expectations out of the course, and you already know what you will be learning ahead. And the second, I think a lot of people also think, oh, like, will the time is going. But again, in your co-op, most of the co-ops that you get from Centennial College are paid. So ultimately, you what you want to do after graduation is also like getting a job and getting a job and getting basically paid. So you are getting to do those two things while you are in your co-op.
So like I started applying for a job like as you mentioned at the mid February, right? I did apply, but like I didn't get any response regarding that because I was in a dilemma that I'm still on a study permit, not on a work permit, right? So maybe is that the reason like I'm on a study permit, that's why I'm not getting, or should I wait for the work permit instead?
I don't think so. It should make a difference. For me, it didn't. So what you like, it comes like as a question to, like, I don't think so they will not even invite you on an interview just because that you are on a study permit right now. I don't think so that's the case, because they
Okay.
know that if you are studying from a college like Centennial, you will get a PGWP. uh, what some of the companies require is a letter that you have already applied for your work permit, but those things you can clarify with the company before you're joining. They are more discussed in the HR rounds or the other rounds that happen with the interview process, that they will ask you when you are able to join. So at this point, I think you would have gotten a timeline from the college as well, that when you will get your like when you get graduated, you get a letter of graduation from the college
Exactly.
that you will be using to apply for your work permit. Once you apply for the work permit, that's when you get eligible to actually go and work. So if you have a timeline from your college that when they are going to give you that letter, that's when I think you can tell your company that you are ready to join or
Oh,
something
okay.
that time. So, but I don't think so that should stop them from contacting you. But again, every company has their own, own programs, own insights. Maybe it's a case in food industry or pharmaceutical industry that they tend to, hire very quickly. So it might be that, okay, if they're seeing that you are a student and you're graduating in April, but they need someone right now, that can be a
Mhm.
point of hindrance. But again, it depends upon the company. Some companies are forever hiring and some hire
Exactly.
once a year. So it depends upon them.
Actually, one of my friends he works in Mondelez International as a quality assurance analyst.
Okay.
So he was telling me that it will be better that if you get an apply status for your work permit, it will be beneficial because, like for example, if you are selected for an interview on the basis of
Mm-hmm.
your study permit, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what will happen if like there is a same guy like you with same or better skills and the qualities, right? So obviously the company will go for the work permit because there is no hindrance at all and he can start as soon as possible. And like once you get rejected from the country, it will like you cannot apply in the same company for 6 months and so it's like the rule, right? So
So I have heard that rule is of CIBC and other banks that you cannot again apply for 3 months. But imagine that, like, I don't know why that's stopping you from applying in a company. Once you apply for the company, they see that you are a person they want to hire. But okay, you cannot work till May. But next time they have an opportunity, you will be the first one to be contacted.
okay.
They won't even put up a posting at that point, according to me. The first thing they will do is that they know that we have this person in the pool who was ready to join around my time, and they will contact you from like their side. Like, I don't understand why these things, like, I think at this point you might be overthinking a lot. You have
Mhm.
to stop overthinking. I would highly suggest that you're already, if you are not actively applying, not applying at least one job a week, you
Mhm.
are like behind a lot of people.
A lot,
I know
exactly.
a lot. I met a lot of food science students, and they told me they are getting interviews, they are getting calls from the companies. So it's not that they are not
Oh.
interested in you.
Mhm.
You, like, at this point, I think you should pick up the pace. I know it's a little hard that
Mhm.
we are juggling between assignments, and yet then we think, oh, okay, let's,
Exactly.
like, give us some time, and like, when I'll have more time, I'll apply then. No, you will never
No.
have time in the last semester, especially. What you
Exactly,
need to
ma'am.
do is step up now, do every week at least one job. That's like the bare minimum you can apply.
So, like, what problems do the student face while they take initial steps in the industry? Like, just switch from an academic point of view to a work experience, and how we can counter that.
So I think, if I talk about the problems, one of the things that you everyone needs to understand is the food industry. It is very
Mm-hmm.
demanding. It is like it the atmosphere might be similar to what you are actually experiencing right now. As a Centennial student, who I have done food science technology, so I'm not 100% sure about the workload that you have as biotech students, but I'm sure it's pretty much the same. We were under constant stress, constant, multitasking. Those are all the skills that you will be using further.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I think Centennial prepares you for that, that you are at a high level of like, you have to take decisions while you are already in
Yeah.
stress, things like that. But the problem, one of the things that you everyone needs to know before applying is that the market is very dynamic. You go to a
Exactly.
meat industry, it's like all with bullard. It is, you have to do sensory sometimes, so you have to very carefully choose which company to go into. Like, for example, if you are going to meat, you want to know what their actually products are. Do you actually eat meat or not? And
Mm-hmm.
is there a requirement of the company that you have to do sensory testing? If you are
Mm-hmm.
at the, and also at the same point, it will be a cold environment if it is meat, in most of the cases. If you go into a vegetable company sometimes, like, or a multi company, that time it's like you have to stay in freezer for half an hour, because
Mm-hmm.
it is kept there, and as a quality you have to go and test it sometimes. So I think one of those, like, you have to consider, you have to ask yourself and be sure about that before applying, or at least an interview. You are asking all these questions, that is it a cold environment, is it like, any special requirements from my side,
Mm-hmm.
because you should be mentally prepared about it. Another thing that is not applied to me, but what I have seen a lot, is continental shifts. So in
Mm-hmm.
the, again, in the industry, even I know about apotex, it's normally what happens, they'll switch you like 2 weeks, or it depends upon company to company again, that they switch you between day shifts and night shifts.
Yeah.
So you should be sure that are you able to do that or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, next, if you are going into, for example, I am in alcohol industry right now. So if
Mm-hmm.
you are in alcohol industry, you need to know that, okay, are you able to do sensory of it. Like it's not my job to do the sensory like evaluation, but still,
Mhm.
like at each and every point you have to taste the product, do the at least some bit of sensory, so
Yeah.
you should be very comfortable with the product that you are going into. So
Mhm.
those things, like they are the things that give you, like, like things that will actually possess problem. And those,
Mhm.
like, fixed schedule. And now also, again, you will have a fixed schedule. Most of the times when you are going into food industry, it will be standing. Right now, we most of the
Mhm.
time, except when we are in the labs, we are sitting on our computers doing hundreds of assignments. We are on our computers all the time. But when you go into the food industry, mostly it's like a standing job. You are running, you are not running actually, but you are also, doing so many things.
Yeah.
Mostly you are standing on your feet. So those are the things that you need to be prepared of, like physically. And then of course it depends what industry you're going
Yeah.
into, what actually, testing you are doing, or whichever. It depends. Like
Yeah.
food industry is so dynamic. If you move from meat to dairy to beverages, it's like a completely different
Exactly.
atmosphere in there.
So basically a fast-paced environment to work. I love
Yeah,
fast-paced environments, by the way.
yeah,
So
that's
like
good.
I can recall an incident according to the sensory properties that you mentioned right now. So
Hmm.
it was a month ago when Professor Johan Henry, if you're familiar with her, so she
Yes, of
posted an opportunity for a quality assurance at meat or beef products at
yes,
Brampton,
I
I
know
said.
her.
I
Yes, yes,
directly mailed her and gave her a resume, and I just gave some info that I'm a final semester student, so this will be a great opportunity for me to expand my horizons in the field and all. So I was not aware about the sensory bro. It was just saying that it's a
okay,
QA for meat and like
okay,
meat and pork. So I thought I just have to like do some testing and all. So like then she again texted me that it is a this duty also like comprises of sensory evaluation as well about the meat, the pork and beef. So I was like, man, beef and pork, I cannot Indian means like you already know the reason you are from India, right? If it was chicken, then it's fine. But it's beef and pork, I like right away said like I don't think I'm fit for this role, and I just like
yes,
quit the
exactly.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yes. I'm surprised you didn't notice it, because normally I know Professor Henry and I saw the job posting on LinkedIn myself, and it says that you have to, like, I'm seeing that job posting from so long at this time.
Yeah.
I know always whenever Professor Henry
Professor
posts, it
Yon
is
Andrew.
there that you have to do the sensory evaluation. So that's an important part of it. Another challenge that I can think of as a quality person is, it comes with responsibility. You have a
Exactly.
huge responsibility on your shoulder. If there is a, you have to, in stress, you have to make decisions, what is right, what is wrong. Sometimes your supervisors are not there, your managers are not there. You need to know what to do in those
What?
situations. Plus, that was one of the case with me. For me, I was changing how the company works by
Mm-hmm.
implementing food safety into a daily activity thing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me and for a lot of quality people, it's true that you have to go out there and you have to convince your, not your manager or your supervisor. At this level as quality, you sometimes don't deal with your manager, supervisor, or other employees. You work
Mm-hmm.
with the managers of other departments, which are there in their roles from like 15 years or 20 years. Sometimes you have to even go ahead and explain it, give reasonable logic to your senior management, that
Mm-hmm.
why this thing is not right or what they need to do to improve. So as a quality, it comes with a lot of responsibility plus convincing power. You have to know what to say, when to say, how to say it, how to present yourself. So all of those components become really, really important when you are in a job like this, or in a, in a quality role. These things become really important. So you need to always talk on facts, all of those things. And
Mhm.
also one of the another challenge that I have seen personally is not that when you graduate, you want to show to the company that you know you have done, like, in your particular field you have learned a lot in
Mhm.
your, while you were studying. So you want to show them that yes, I am, like, I know this, I know this, I know this. That's great. That's amazing. But it should have a point limit where you are also honest, and you should have the freedom to tell your managers and supervisors that I am not an expert in this field. So I
Mhm.
have seen students that they will go and they will showcase themselves in the interview or even at the later processes,
Mhm.
like even in the later, like, day-to-day activities, that they know everything. I don't feel, even after, you will see that after being 10 years in the industry, people will tell you, I am not expert in all of them. You should know how and whom to contact when you want to do some, get some answers. Like, for example, you want to implement a new chemical in your company. I'm sorry, I am not the expert. What I will do is, of course, I will do my research, online research on it. But another thing that is always helpful is that I will find a company of chemicals that is expert in food industry. I
Mhm.
will contact the representative that will have like years of knowledge in that chemical. That person can give me knowledge that, okay, if you will, dip your vegetable in this sanitizer for 10 minutes, it will not rot because of that. So you
Mhm.
should, as a quality, as a food safety professional, or in biotech field, wherever you tend to end up, I think one of the most important thing is you need to be honest. you need
Mhm.
to you need to know how to find resources. You are not everyone's resource that would know. You are not Google, basically, right? You
Exactly.
cannot answer everything, but you should know how to contact and whom to contact in case you need some expert advice.
Expertise. This
Yeah.
is like a basic skill of like problem solving and being honest, and you
Yes.
should have a good communication and transferable skills.
Yes.
So one more question, like when you graduated, so
Mm-hmm.
what skills help you the most in the industry? Is it transferable skills or the technical skill that help you the most?
So I think both of them, of course, you
Okay.
need both of the
Yeah.
things. For me, I am from food industry. I have
Mm-hmm.
done food course in food science from Centennial College, so I'm more inclined to answer in that perspective. For me, as soon as I graduated, it was because our company wanted to implement food safety
Mm-hmm.
certification, FSC 22000. That was their main goal, and that was the whole reason that I was recommended. Because when I was in co-op, I showed them that these are my technical skills. Like, for example, we did traceability on our own. We did so many things, so many technical things on our own, that my manager knew that, okay, now if she's coming directly from the industry, or like from school, she would have a good knowledge about it. So few
Exactly.
things, like, I would say a lot of technical skills, like, for example, we talked about, uh, we did a course on basically food regulation. So food regulation is always a day-to-day activity that we are aware of, we need to know about. We did a course on food safety management system, which is what we implemented. Food safety management system is basically your HACCP plan, risk assessment, all
Mhm.
the PRPs and everything that comes into the play with it. So so basically for me, I was same. I did biotech back in my country. I have a bachelor's in science in biotech, but when I wanted to come here to Canada to study forward, I choose food science. So
Mhm.
whatever I learned during my whatever I'm implementing right now to get that certification for my company, I was the person who was leading the project. With my manager, and we basically implemented that project from the scratch. So when we went into it, of course, a lot of technical skills came into play: how to make a HACCP plan, even from the scratch, how to do
Mm-hmm.
even the risk assessment, all of those things that come into handy every day. Apart from that, so for us, we do membrane filtrations because we make a product beer.
Exactly.
So it's a liquid product. So we do membrane filtrations every day. So of course, how to do membrane filtration? We run PCR on every day. We run PCR. So how
PCR.
to do PCR, right? How to even simple things like how to use a pipette, you know.
Pipette, yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, simple things like that, that are the technical skills that differentiate you from a person who is not from the industry, or person who is not in the same field as you are. Those are the
Mm-hmm.
things that differentiate you. Then of course, I used, for me again, a lot of my transferable skills came into play, because again, I said I was implementing a huge program, which is like changing the whole like changing the infrastructure of company, but also how people behave on a
People.
daily basis. So it needs to have a lot of, like, I used a lot of leadership skills, because I was planning not only my activities, but
Mm-hmm.
also how the managers, what different department needs to do to implement this program, what each and every manager needs to do, what their staff needs to do. So that came into play. My presentation skills came into play. It was only 2 months into the semester, and I was standing in front of the senior management of the company,
Mm-hmm.
convincing them that what program, like why we need to choose FSC 22000, or more about like talking more about other things, like okay, these are the steps we need to do, these are the things that we will be covering, these are the things we are changing.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things came into play. Then the communication skills, of course, how to
Mm-hmm.
write an email.
Email.
I was blasting emails to my, you'll ask, people are so annoyed with my emails
Annoyed.
at this point, because the reason for annoying is that I send them so many emails,
Emails.
because of course the food safety management system implementation of it takes a lot of time. Most of the companies have like 2 3 years of target, and we did
Mm-hmm.
it in 8 months. So it was like we rushed a lot. And but bec- apart from even being annoyed, I'm making sure that they are reading the emails, because I know how to address people correctly, how to, write the subject properly, that they know what is in the email, all of those things. So communication on one-on-one level, as well as your emails, or like team messages, however you are communicating inside the company, those are things come into play. Next thing that I used a lot was training skills. So I was a peer tutor in Centennial College. I had done some teaching back in my home country, on YouTube, on like online, offline, a lot of things. So that also came into play, because of course, if you want to change everyone's behavior in the company, you need to train people. That's the
Mm-hmm.
very first step. So I was training people about food safety, how to do, what to do. We didn't have GM, like we didn't have the, we did follow the some of the GMPs, like wearing gloves and all, but we didn't have any hand washing practices at that point. We were not wearing any hair nets, beard nets. All of those things were not into play. We didn't have a GMP inspections, like a more official ones on a regular basis. So all of those things come into play. And then the simple things, like you have to do root cause analysis. So that's a transferable skill also, and a technical skill also. So all of those things, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for me, I have exhausted on
Okay.
number of skills I have used in the company, because we do everything from analytical testing, like using spectrophotometer on a everyday basis, using alkalizer on a daily basis. We do from that to micro to now implementing the food safety program. So I've done in last 10 months, 11 months, I have done a lot of things like that.
Mm-hmm. So basically, like you talk about the laboratory skills that we learn from Centennial College, like about pipetting, as you mentioned. I
Yeah.
want to ask about two methods that we learn. One is HMLT, the microbial limit testing, as well as
Okay.
of antimicrobial effective testing, where we perform neutralization test, the suitability test, and the challenge test, where we get to know if the product has passed the test or not. So is
Okay.
it applicable in your industry as well, in the food safety, food industry? Means,
Um, we don't do that.
oh,
For
okay.
example, I think those are the more complex things that you like for us that would come into a laboratory technician's kind of skill that
Like a
like say for
microbiologist lab or something?
yes, exactly. So
Oh.
for all of like if we have to do something very, very specific, we have to send the sample outside. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when your like these skills would more used in like companies like VV labs or actual labs that
Mm-hmm.
other companies send their samples to for testing. I think
Mm-hmm.
those are the most companies that will be incorporating them on a daily basis. But
Exactly.
of course, every industry have their own requirements. Maybe we as a beverage industry are not using at this point, or we are not like gluten free or organic free, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe someone else is using it. So depending upon that, and again, I'm from food science. I'm not really sure. Like the biotech skills will be really, really different from what you learn
Mm-hmm.
in food science. So
Exactly.
yeah.
When I was at Apotech, so at the QC lab, so
Yeah.
there were, I think it was divided into two or three sections. One was like the gas chromatography mass spectrometer lab and the
Yeah.
HPLC high performance liquid chromatography lab.
Okay.
And like
Yes.
water dissolution labs and one more lab was there. I don't recall the name of that.
Micro
So
lab.
no, it was a quality control lab. It was whole one unit, but divided into
Okay.
three sectors like
Okay.
GC, HPLC lab, water
Okay.
dissolution lab, and one more lab. I don't recall the name of that
Yeah.
lab, unfortunately.
Okay.
So is it
Yeah.
like same in the food industry as well? Like because in the resume I have already mentioned regarding the experience of gas chromatography mass spectrometer, the HPLC method as well, and the test that I named right now, the HMLT and antimicrobial effective testing.
See, it will
So,
be very hard
mhm.
to say anything according to
Mm,
that, and you have to change your resume for every company.
exactly, yeah.
Whatever techniques they use, most of them or a lot of them will be on their job description.
Mhm.
So if you are thinking that okay, I've written gas chromatography and I might
Mhm.
be able to fit it somewhere, maybe they use it, metthey don't. Like for example,
Mhm.
we can use but it's an expensive tool that we do not prefer.
Oh,
We
okay.
prefer spectrophotometry over that, just because of like like doing chromatography is much more expensive. So
Mhm.
it depends, some company might have it, some companies
They
don't.
don't. Oh, okay.
So it's not so see, when you talk about food industry, it's very, very different for each and every product. You have different bacterias that you are dealing with. Like for example, we do not have a pathogen risk in the company because we have high alcohol in our product, we have
Mm.
CO2 in our product, we have low pHs, we have bittering amount, we have so many things that we do not personally have a pathogen risk. When it comes to beer in our product, we do
Mhm.
not have that risk. Whereas you will go to a meat industry, their main risk will be listeria or salmonella. So it's
Mhm.
like so different industries. You are dealing with different microorganisms. You are different. For example, us, we will be checking the color of the liquid, right?
Mhm.
Whereas in the meat industry, you won't be checking color of a liquid. That
Exactly.
so the things are so dynamic, so different in the industry. Of course, most of the industries will train you for whatever techniques they have. They
Mhm.
will, of course, training is a essential part of any job profile, so they will train you on it. But even if you show your like really basic skills, that yes, we have worked in a lab, and these
Mhm.
are the skills that we know, that helps you build up on your resume.
Build up. Okay. And also, I want to talk about the certification courses as well. Means I already
Mhm.
have an HACCP certification as well as the WIMIS 2015 certification. So, do you
You
recommend
mean
me
has
HACCP?
certificate?
Yeah,
Okay.
hazard analysis critical points.
Okay.
So,
Yes, sure.
basically, like, do you recommend me any more certification that will be beneficial for me for the in the internet, or this is enough?
Yes. So this is one of the questions that people asked me in the guest speaker, and I would say The only thing, like, so for example, for Centennial students, first of all, LinkedIn Learning is free, so you
Mm-hmm.
can always go on LinkedIn Learning and do different courses. For
Mm-hmm.
food science, I would say you should do like courses like root cause analysis and other courses like that. But
Mm-hmm.
anything, even like HACCP is not a necessary for food science students, because we have a complete course where they teach us
Mm-hmm.
how to do it. But as I had contact with some people in biotech, they told me that it's not that relevant with their stream.
Oh.
So they, of course, for you guys, I think HACCP program is a good way to start.
Mm-hmm.
But even that is not a necessity, I would say, to enter as a quality technician. That those things are not a necessity. Whatever things that a company wants you to be trained on, they will be training you on. If it is a external certification, they will be giving you financial support and the time, everything to
Mm-hmm.
do the course.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, like, the certifications, like, those are basically varying according to the companies a lot. But also that would actually depend upon a lot of other factors too. So you cannot, like, pick and choose a lot of
Mm-hmm.
courses when it comes to
Exactly.
food science, because like FSC 22000 will be different from BRC, from SQF. So
Mm-hmm.
depending upon what the company is certified in, they would like you to do that kind of certification, again, if the job demands for it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I got it now. So basically, for example, let's take I'm working in your company. Like I had an interview in your company. Okay. So
Yep.
like basically, when I was at Apotech, sorry, I'm mentioning the pharmaceutical only. Don't take me wrong.
Yes. Yes.
So
Go ahead.
basically, like I wanted to ask that you told me that a co-op will be beneficial if I had, but basically I have a normal 2 year diploma course without any co-op. So is there an equal and fair, free and fair chances for the people who didn't have co-op as well?
Yes, right now all everyone we are hiring is like not from done co-op. Co-on, what helps with co-op is that they gives you an insight of the industry. And
Mm-hmm.
see, it's also that you, like, when you are going for co-op, you might be, you have done just 2 semesters here.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have the knowledge that they might be expecting out of you.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it can be also harmful. Like, for
Harmful.
example, they don't find you a good fit for their company. They might
Mm-hmm.
not hire you at that point, right? So it doesn't give you, it does give you a good, like, you can say that you are, like, you have worked in the industry already. So it obviously gives you in a good limelight. But again, it doesn't stop you from entering the industry. If
Mm-hmm.
you can show, like, for example, my co-op, for example, I know a lot of people in my the co-op, they didn't apply for the co-op. The basic reason was that they asked for 1 year of experience. You know how
Mm-hmm.
I showed my one
Exactly.
year of experience? I worked in Tim Hortons as a team member.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I was doing, in Tim Hortons or any food industry you work in Canada, you will be checking, sanitizer concentrations. You will be checking your temperatures. You will be checking your cooler
Oh yeah.
temperatures. So it's about how you mold your resume. I
Okay.
am saying that I have not worked in the food industry, that's fine. But I am working at a place, at a food establishment, where I am doing some of the qualities that like what a quality technician does. So I am
Mm-hmm.
doing some of those testings, and rest of the testing I have done. These all projects in my college, I
Mm-hmm.
have done these all testings in my college. So I have acquired those skills from there. I have my transferable and a little bit of skills from my part-time job or whatever skills I have earned at this point. And even if you don't have, like, if you're not working in food industry, at least you are working with a team. You are in your college, you are working with your teams. In your workplace, you are working with your teams. I know most of students are working if they're international
Mm-hmm.
students, right?
Exactly.
So those are the skills that you need to display. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
say greeted customers every day. That they don't
Exactly.
want to
Yeah.
know that, right? So it's it's how you pick and choose your skills that you got
Mm.
from your part-time job. It was not like, do not consider that it didn't have any value. Everything that you do in life has some value to it. So you have to, when you are presenting it, when you are going forward and putting it in your resume that you worked somewhere, it should show. And again, of course, show your part time. Don't say that I didn't have any job in
Exactly.
that. I think at that point most of the students have done like multiple jobs, right,
Mm-hmm.
before you enter the
Exactly.
industry. So you are not you might be a fresher in the food industry, but you have 1 year of job experience. They know that you are a reliable person. You go
Mm-hmm.
to your jobs at time. You have been working hard. Maybe you are standing for all your 8 hours of shifts at your part-time jobs or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider a new, like as an international, I won't student, I won't consider you as a fresher because you already have worked in the industry. If it is not this industry, you have worked somewhere else,
Anywhere else. So one
right?
of the main problem I also observed that whenever there is a job posting, they always mention that the internal candidates will be prioritized first, and after that they will consider the outsiders. So how can we tackle that point
It's
according to
not in
you?
your hand to tackle. It's not in your hand to tackle. I will just say
Yeah.
that. It depends upon company. If they want to, like, see, again it comes to work ethics. Why
Mm-hmm.
do they want to do hire an internal person? The only reason, like for example, if we hired someone from the packaging, right, into
Mm-hmm.
quality, they might have zero lab experience, but we are hiring them into quality? Why we need to do we would like to do internal audit, like hiring is, the only reason is that we know the person's work ethics. So
Mm-hmm.
if in the interview, like if the person who is interviewing you loves you, they
Mm-hmm.
don't care about the other
They
person.
don't
If
care.
you can display that you have good work ethics, they don't care. They like they have seen the person. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you can display. You can always give references of your managers, of your professors, and all of
Okay.
other people, telling that okay, if he has the work ethics, I have the work ethics too,
I have the work ethics
right?
too.
That's the only reason people do internal hiring. Of course, they are not hiring from quality to quality, right? They cannot hire from
Exactly.
anyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So
basically, the work ethics are or on one side, and the personal experience and emotions are on
yes,
another side, right?
yes.
Personal values.
And I totally feel like work ethics plus, of course, you are
Mm-hmm.
like from an internal hiring perspective. I think a student of Centennial College who have done biotech or food science is a more eligible candidate. From, like for example, I did argue a little bit with my manager and supervisor and told them no, we're not getting anyone from the other departments. Might not be able to do internal hiring this time, because I feel that a person who has worked in a lab, who has done their
Mm-hmm.
own projects, is more independent than a person who is working maybe in other company. So it
Mm-hmm.
depends upon person to person, of course, but that's why they prefer internal
Prefer
hiring just for the work ethics.
work
So,
ethics.
but as a person, if you can show that you have a better work ethics, be on time, be dressed up, be punctual,
Mm-hmm.
and then you are also showing that I have more advantage than the person because I have done lab work, I have done so much of independent projects, they will consider you over that person.
Mm-hmm.
don't
Okay.
don't be at this point. I feel like you are a little bit of
Yeah.
pushed. You feel like I have this disadvantage, this disadvantage. Don't feel anything like that. You are on the same level as everyone else. Only thing that you can do, like, see, you have to put in efforts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your efforts at this point is just applying and applying. You
Mm-hmm.
not wait that I applied for one company and now I will wait for their reply.
Exactly. Yeah.
That you, like, for me, I was applying minimum 3 jobs per week till I got
Per
this
week.
job.
Exactly.
So, and of course now is the time to apply, because as soon as you get near your final terms and like your final exams, that time
Mm-hmm.
you will be so occupied in your studies that you would not be able to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
when you have your reading week, I don't know if you're already done with it or not,
We are
but
already done with it. Yeah.
okay. So when you have those things, utilize it. You have to, I think this is a good point to do. You cannot think in April
Exactly.
I'll start applying, because
No,
then you
no,
will have
never.
100 of assignments to do,
Exactly.
right?
Because like the recent job postings are like according to my field only. Mostly I find jobs of QA QC. The one thing that was bothering me because of the study permit and because I was like a little bit manipulated by the people that it will be better if you have at least applied status of the work permit. But like
Yeah.
according to your
So
knowledge, it make no sense.
exactly. Like for example, for us, we got our work permit after 21 days of applying.
Oh.
So if a student is waiting till you apply for the work permit, normally, let's say you applied, you got the interview and you got a job. Let's say you got a job as soon as you, like, you got a interview as soon as you applied. Maybe next week you got the interview, next week they'll do a round two, and then you get a job. Minimum they'll give you 2 weeks to get hired to. So
Mm-hmm.
you are wasting your work permit at that time. Why would you
Exactly.
waste? Why would a
Waste.
person waste? And this is like in the best scenario. I know people who have to wait 10 months to get a job. Also,
Mm-hmm.
always remember, with every interview, every job you apply, you learn something out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the first interview you do, or the first 5 interviews you do, you don't know how to give an interview perfectly. You might
Mm-hmm.
learn the actual skills into the 10th interview, when you actually email the HR and ask them what was wrong with your interview. So you
Oh.
might not even learn those. Like, you have to start applying, you have to start giving interviews, even if it is for nothing. Even at the end, if the person tells you that, okay, we want to hire someone from next week, and because you are not available, we cannot hire you. But still, go for the interviews. You have to start applying, you have to start doing it. Like for
Start doing it.
example, I had a job and I went to two different interviews, and I
Oh.
knew that I'm not gonna accept it, because I love where I work.
Yeah.
Because I did my co-op there, I knew the company, I knew my manager, and of course they were giving me this tremendous huge project, which I'm always grateful for. So I know that I would be in, even if they pay me double or triple, I would never get a chance to implement a food safety program.
Mm-hmm.
So those were the reasons that, like, I knew that, okay, I'm not gonna take any other job that I came for. I still went to the interview. I thought, okay, when I'll get the job offer letter, then I'll or job offer, then I will tell the person that, okay, I cannot do it. But at least you get to see the company, you get to learn a little bit about the company. In the future, they know you.
Mm-hmm.
They knew that, okay, at that was the not the right moment to hire you, but now they might consider you in the future.
You.
So
Okay.
it's your impression, right? So even, like, you should start again, you should start applying as soon as you can. You
Exactly.
never know what is the right
You
moment.
never know what is the right moment. Only the thing bothering me was this particular point only. Otherwise, I am ready with everything. I already have made the resume. I have idea to make resume and cover letters as well.
Yes.
Even I made one and twice, and yeah, but only this thing
Yeah.
was
Did
bothering
you
me.
get your resume and cover letter like reviewed by the college team?
Yeah, because it's already posted on Experience Centennial. So I used to always do a survey, internet surfing on that, and according to that, I make the resumes and cover letters.
I think you guys can also book an appointment with a advisor,
Yeah,
and then
we
go
can.
ahead and get your resume reviewed, so that
Mm-hmm.
you have a second eyes, basically,
Yeah,
so they
exactly.
know.
Yeah, I got it now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
It
good.
was so nice that I got a good guidance and a lot of learning outcomes from you as well for the
Most
insights of the
welcome.
company as well.
Yes, most welcome. I'm always happy to talk. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
always available on LinkedIn if anyone wants to contact me.
Yeah.
I always try to, like, reply as soon as I can, so that I know
Mm-hmm.
that I was
Yeah.
once at that phase where I was applying for jobs. I didn't know what is the right thing to do. And once you get into the industry, you do get a little bit of perspective. So, of course, I'm happy to share that
Okay.
always.
That's so sweet of you. Also, like, can you share me some resources or networking opportunities by your side? if possible?
Networking opportunities. So, I think for me, the most networking I do is on LinkedIn, and that
Mm-hmm.
too is like you can just be active on LinkedIn, share what you are doing,
Exactly, yeah.
all of those things. You can be active on LinkedIn. That's the
Okay.
major thing to do.
Okay.
Like for resources, I know for food science, like again, I know food science resources. That's all I can give you.
Yeah.
Like to learn more, I always go to International Food and Safety. It's a website, IFSQN. I always go there, put ever whatever doubts I have in, like, even when I was implementing this program,
Mm-hmm.
if I get stuck somewhere, I would always put my questions related to food safety, food science, anything on
Mm-hmm.
that website. It has a very active community that replies
Exactly.
to you. Then there is food and quality magazines that I have applied to, that comes to my home once a month,
Oh
things
wow.
like that. So there are a lot of resources that you can use, but again, I am more from food science background, so
Oh
I can
yeah,
help
exactly.
those more.
That's good. That's good. So
Yeah.
you mentioned about the LinkedIn learning, right? So
Yes.
whenever I have scrolled a lot of times LinkedIn learning, but I mostly found the courses regarding the computer science and all. So what is the course which will be like beneficial or is applied on food industry or pharma industry according to you?
So the two major ones that the one is so the two major ones, one is root cause analysis course. I always
Okay.
recommend people doing that because
Okay.
for me, because I was sitting in an audit and I do corrective action forms on a regular basis. I need to know how to do root cause analysis properly. And again, like, so it's a responsibility for everyone in the company to do the root cause analysis if they have done, like, there is some mistake, to find the core problem. So that's the very basic skill that everyone in
Okay.
the company should
So,
learn.
ba- so basically, root cause analysis is like a problem solving skill, right?
Um, yes, but also, like, it comes with different methods, right? Fishbone diagram, 5 why
Mm-hmm.
method, all of those methods. So you
Mm-hmm.
should know the methods because, like, for example, if you get a non-conformance, I'm talking into food science language a little
Yeah,
bit.
no problem.
But if you get, for example, a mistake during the audit, you get some
Mm-hmm.
time to correct that mistake. How you correct is that you have to start a root cause analysis form. You have to find what the actual cause was, and then you have to find a a very quick fix, that's known as correction, and also a long term corrective action, that how you will make sure that it never happens again. So all of those you have to represent to the auditor so they can
Mm-hmm.
approve it for you, and then you get
Mm-hmm.
the certification, or even
Mm-hmm.
every year by year. That's how the process goes.
Okay.
So those are like, you have to do that. Then, for example, something happened in the quality department or something happened, they'll ask, your manager will ask you, find the root cause. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't even know what's a fishbone diagram, which is 5 why method or cause and effect diagram,
Yeah, I
how
got
would
it.
you do that, right? So that's one of the basic things that, for example, for me, we didn't have any of these skills in the food science course. Only we had it in food science seminar. We had a course of seminar that Professor Henry taught us, and
Mm-hmm.
she taught us about this, and also my other professor taught us in food safety management a little bit about it. So those are the, like, for example, we learned it in the courses as well. But again, if you can, so what happens also is that you have to pick up the skills from your courses as well. For example, I did root cause analysis, like, I learned it in my college, right? But
Mm-hmm.
now how will you prove it to the hiring manager that you know that skill? A certification helps with that. You can show
Mm-hmm.
to the certification or the hiring manager that, okay, I have this certificate, it means I have done, I have some kind of knowledge about it. So that helps you with that too. And apart from that, if you have time, again, it
Mm-hmm.
comes all to time. If you have time, there is amazing Six Sigma trainings available
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. So for Six Sigma, you do different belts. You start with, like, it's different color of belts according to the level of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an amazing course that you
Okay.
everyone can do. It's like applied on a daily basis in quality department, in other departments
Okay.
as well. So that's like Six Sigma. The higher your belt is, it's more like how you can manage things, how you can talk about quality. So that's, you can get as
Oh,
big belt as you have time, I would say.
okay. I got it. That's good.
Yes.
Every day is a challenge for a quality control.
Yes,
Every day.
that is always.
But that's fun to
And
face some
never
challenges and
enough hours.
learning new
Yes,
things and facing everything.
exactly. Like in quality, we always say there is not enough hours in a day, right? So
Yeah.
it's same as a student,
Yeah.
especially like I know in, especially in Centennial College, we always say that as a student, we never have enough hours in a day, and that's true for quality technician as
Quality.
well.
Yeah, but for me, like more than hours, I'm just inclined towards learning new things, on day-to-day basis, right? Because in quality control, like I know if there is a single mistake, all the products are recalled at somehow. So is it true in the food
Yeah.
industry as well, I guess?
Yes, if there is a mistake, but it
Mistake.
depends how huge the
How
mistake is.
huge a mistake? Yeah, exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think
I got
as a
it.
company, they should have enough controls in place that if one person makes the mistake, of course, we
Yeah,
cannot recall thousands of products. They should have multiple controls in place
multiple
that
control.
that doesn't happen.
Maybe in the near future, four,
Yes.
5 years, let's see how it goes now. Because like I also don't know how will I end up like in the food industry or the pharmaceutical. We never know. We just have to apply and apply, and it's like
Exactly.
destined.
Wherever you wish to go,
Wherever
I
you
think.
wish to go.
Yes.
Means like I told you that I'm most more inclined to a pharmaceutical industry. Means don't take me wrong, it's not like that. It is like a small interest only, but
Yeah. Have you
ultimate
done
goal is to
pharma in the country, back in your country?
actually, I was doing bachelor's and I
Okay.
completed 2 years, but it was not pharmacy. It was botany and zoology, plant
Okay.
and animal sciences basically.
Yes.
So I
Okay.
do have knowledge regarding some food as
Okay.
well as the pharma industry. But my
Okay.
ultimate goal is to gain knowledge from the field itself, that how it is actually working in the real work environment, how what are the
Okay.
job responsibilities, duties, how you interact with your supervisor, managers, also your company director and all.
Yes.
And
Of course.
teamwork is the main spirit in all the companies, right? So that
Yes.
is what I want to apply, and that is what I'm excited about right now.
Yes. Sure. Absolutely.
It was nice meeting with you, and thank you for your exceptional knowledge and skills that you shared with me, and also about the insights about the company, and also to move my biggest confusion as well.
Yeah. Sure. No worries.
Yeah,
It was great talking to you too. Thank you for
thank
taking
you.
your
Thank
time.
you much, ma'am.